Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a wonderific day. I often combine my words like wonderful and terrific, and I'm so glad that there's a stamp set out there that does that too. Today we're going to create a card for LDRS Creative using one of the die sets from the June release. This is called the Rainbow Bits die set. So cute. Each has each layer of the rainbow, 5 in total, and then you have the background rainbow, which is really fun. Now I thought about using pattern paper for today's card, but then LDRS Creative has some beautiful inks, and so I thought we'd make a background with our hybrid ink pads here. So starting off with pink Tutu, we're going to do a little bit of ink blending on the very top of some neenah 80-pound cardstock. For today's color choices, I thought it would be fun to create like a tutti frutti kind of colors. Not primary or bold colors, but tutti frutti colors. After I have my tutu down, we're going to bring in a peachy keen. We'll ink blend that in the middle. That way we have room for our next layer. We'll just do a little bit of blending. I love today's color choices. I think they're just so fun. This is going to go for our second layer of the rainbow. And then for our third layer, we're going to bring in Dandelion. And the blending tool that I used, I must have grabbed the one that I used my oxide inks with because it clouded up my ink pad. It wiped away, no problems. But it went on really juicy. But that's okay. I kind of went with it with that bright dandelion color. That's our third layer. And then we're going to bring another piece of cardstock and add our key lime pie, which is a real pretty green. And after I added key lime pie, I realized that we have one layer left, and usually the color after green is a blue. And I didn't want to add blue to my rainbow because I wanted blue in the background where we're going to add some clouds. So we're going to kind of switch it up a bit. I'm going to shift all of my rainbow layers over, and then we're going to do a little bit of ink blending with our very first layer, and we're going to bring in a real pretty color called Lipstick Jungle. It's not a red. I would say it's more like a fuchsia color. So this is going to be our very first color. So we'll have like a fuchsia and then a pink, peach, yellow, and green. I think that's going to flow beautifully. I'm just ink blending on top of this panel, making sure my top layer is fully covered. And then after we have this done, we're going to die cut it out. Now, while we're die cutting, I'm going to also bring in my In a Cloudy Sky die set. If you are looking for some beautiful clouds, this set is so cute. You get a large and a small and then 3 little raindrops. But I love it because they're stitched swirlies on there. So pretty. But I'll cut out 2 large clouds, 3 small ones, along with the background rainbow die. That way we can layer all of our pieces on our background. So there's our background. We'll just set everything aside, and using my craft pick, we'll just pick out all of our rainbow colors. Now, if you wanted to use glue and attach each rainbow layer to the background, that would be great. But of course, I like dimension, so I thought we would add some foam strips behind each of the layers. Now, originally, I was going to cut out real thin strips and put them behind each one of my layers. And I thought, well, there has to be a little bit of an easier way to do this. So I thought we'd just add our foam tape directly to our white rainbow background. And believe me, it turned out so easy. Easy peasy. So I'm just going to add some foam tape on our background. Now, when you do add each one of your rainbow layers, there does end up being a little bit of a white border. So I'm making sure that my foam tape doesn't go all the way to the edge because you're going to see a little bit of that white peeking out. But once all my foam tape is adhered and trimmed, we're going to go ahead and take our first layer, which is our Lipstick Jungle, and we're going to adhere that along the outer edge, leaving a little bit of a white border and just making sure it's evenly spaced between the left and the right. And I think this was so much easier than putting thin strips behind each one of the layers. Okay, once we have this one adhered, we're going to go in with our pink tutu and add that. And then we'll just continue all the way down with our peachy keen and our dandelion and our key lime pie, which sounds really, really good right now. I think I have a sweet tooth. Key lime pie just sounds really good. Okay, so that's our rainbow, and I love the way this turned out. I love that there's some darker areas and lighter areas. To me, I think that looks so pretty. Okay, I think the smaller ones of the clouds are going to go on the very front of my rainbow. And then we'll tuck the larger clouds right behind it. So I'm kind of figuring out my position here. For my card base, I brought in an A2 size pale gray card base. And then I have a panel that I trimmed to 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And it's just white cardstock, and that's where we're going to stamp our sentiment. And originally I was just going to put my rainbow on my white background, but it was too white. So here's where we're going to bring in a little bit of blue and gray for our background. I did add foam squares behind the small clouds on the front of my rainbow, and then using my tape runner I adhered the back clouds, which were the 2 larger ones and then that last smaller one. Okay. I'm going to bring in a sentiment. A sentiment is from the Wordalicious stamp set. Super fun sentiments in here. And I chose the one that says, you are absolutely wonderific. And I'm just going to, this stamp set, you can kind of customize your sentiment. So that's what I did here. I'm just going to, before we actually stamp our sentiment, I thought this is where we'll bring in our stencil. I'm going to be using a stencil to create my background clouds. This is the Rainy Day stencil. And I had used alloy ink for my first layer of clouds in the background. And it's a gray ink. And I thought gray, since my card base was gray, that the gray would go good, and I really liked it. Looks a little dreary, but once you add the rainbow in front of it, it just doesn't look dreary. It just looks cloudy, if that makes any sense. But here again, I'm bringing in my blue. The blue ink that I'm using, I believe, is Little Boy Blue. I'll link it down below. I'm not sure what blue this is, but I just highlighted each one of the gray clouds in another layer with the stenciling. So I have gray and blue clouds for my background. And you can see here, it doesn't look dreary. It just looks fluffy. Now we're going to go ahead and add our sentiment. I thought I'd better bring in my Misty for that. My mini Misty. So I place my panel inside my Misty, and I'm going to ink up my sentiment with my Raven ink pad. I'm going to stamp it a few times. And my sentiment is actually in the lower left corner. We're going to make a landscape style card today. We'll do that. You are one more time. And I think that I love the font of absolutely wonderific. I'm going to go ahead and use my tape runner and add this panel to my gray card base. Once this is adhered and opened the right way, we'll go ahead and I'm going to add one more layer of foam tape behind my rainbow. And when I went to reach for my little chamois, I hit my camera. Sorry. So it shifted a little bit. I hope it didn't give you a whiplash. But accidents, I guess, happen all the time. I lowered my camera. That way when I zoom in, it's not fuzzy. So I'm still getting used to it a little bit. But I'm adding foam adhesive behind my rainbow scene here. And then we'll just place this on our card base. And I love the way this turned out. I think it looks like a nice fluffy rainbow wonderific card. Great for just because. Now for bells and whistles, I am going to bring in some, these are like droplets, only they're not round. They're little hearts. I wanted to add a few here and there, and then I thought we'll bring in some sparkle. We're going to sparkle up our rainbow with our Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen. And at first, when I added a thin layer, and then I squeezed the barrel and tons came out. In fact, it kind of spilt over on the background a little bit here, so I'm trying to wipe it up. But the glitter actually went in between each of the layers, so there's extra super sparkle in there. Maybe in the close-ups you'll be able to see it. But that's my card for today, guys. All the products again will be linked down below in case you want to check it out. But thanks so much for stopping by. I wish you a lovely, wonderific day, and we will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.